Scenario 3, how long have I got? 10 minutes?
It's 11:45.
11:45. Okay, we'll do this one. A particular, we've kind of already done that one. So, particular student is repeatedly talking over others during the Q&A. So that's slightly different actually, because what I'm talking about is like the shouting out, is like you're doing a Q&A and someone's like constantly just talking out all the time. So let's role play that then. Sir, you look like a good person to shout at me. So can you shout out a bit? He's lost his voice. All right, yeah, we're going to do some Q&A. I'm going to ask everyone else some questions, and if you just like start shouting out answers and shouting out, and then we'll I'll give you like some of the observations that I've seen, different observations I've seen when I've done this. Okay, everyone, let's just review what we were going for. What year did Hitler come to power in Nazi Germany? What? And if we were to kind of think about the different reasons why that happened, what would you say was the biggest reason?
Treaty of Versailles.
And how would we? And how would we? Now, obviously, at this point, I'm starting to go, crap. I've got a bit of an issue here. If this was like first lesson, second lesson. Now, obviously, we'll carry on. This is probably how I'd deal with it initially. So, what do you think? Out of all those reasons, we've said maybe Treaty of Versailles was the biggest reason. But what about the Depression? Do we not think that was a big reason?
Social unrest. Right,
John, I'm just going to ask you now, you're just shouting out a bit, can you just like stop doing that for now? Thank you very much. Yeah, he's probably going to, and then probably, oh, John's not happy. And then probably...
The thing is, that's actually my name as well. So
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. But probably, you probably then, I mean, obviously, like usually, I would say that's going to work. But then the next lesson, it happens again. So what would we do to deal with that one? I mean, would it be a polite word, like if someone was continually doing that and kind of dominating the class in that sense, what would you do?
Encourage positive behaviour in the rest of the class and praise it as it's done. So
would you tackle that? Would
you
tackle that person though? Or would you kind of just highlight the good in the others?
I
what they would
from the celebrity status thing as much as I can.
Well, don't be like that, John. You are a celebrity now.
Well, yeah, I'm used to that for my life. It's, I think, if people are doing that, they're generally doing it for attention. So, by trying to get away from giving them that celebrity status, concentrate on people doing things right, you're sort of praising correct behaviour and taking away from, not standing in the face and creating it. And then you go into confrontation and you're in that spiral.
I just politely would say, don't answer this time, Tom, let somebody else answer. But on the flip side of that, what happened with me is because he was quite a confident learner, is he went quite passive after that. There's a form of punishment I felt at the time. He didn't want to 20 the question. I was like,
if it's someone who's like genuinely got good intentions, I suppose that's.
I want to obviously encourage his confidence and self-efficacy, but just a polite way, let him answer, Tom. Because just before I did it,
I mean, could you maybe talk to them at the end of the lesson as opposed to in the lesson?
Could you give them a role to do? Could you say, could you go, here's a stopwatch, you time people answering the question, or could you record it, write it down, just give them something to focus on without being vocal?
Yeah, I mean, again, I hate to come back to it, but the whiteboards are good because they have to write it down.
I actually got him to do a diagram on the board for the rest of the class.
The whiteboard, exactly.
Could you just change up your questioning style rather than like targeting one student? So this is something I do, but I saw it in a video online where I don't use the lollipops, but it was like a lollipop concept.
The Dylan Willem,
And they got the students to pick the name, so it wasn't the teacher targeting students, it was the class. And then if they can't answer the question, then maybe go, well, can X help them out with it? So they're all listening.
I mean, of course, the other one is just to do, cold call as they call it now. It's basically just asking people direct questions like, Tom, what do you, cold call, Tom, what do you think? John, what do you think? Lizzie, what? And do it that way. I mean, that's obviously a way of dealing with it. But sometimes there's times when you either can't do that or you don't want to. Sometimes you do want to open it up, and that's where, yeah, I think, like, obviously looking at different tactics around that. I think one thing, I mentioned Paul Guinness before, but I think this assertive technique, I'll finish off on this. Assertive technique, it's something I've learned as a script. It's like, in my head, I used to go back over this over and over again. And this was corridors as well. So it's like, right, assertive stance, stand upright, make eye contact, not in the face, but try to make eye contact with them. Don't invade the student space, don't look mad, don't threaten, and show that you're in control of your emotions. So it's kind of a business-like approach to it is where I would go with it. It's not overly friendly, it's not confrontational, it's somewhere in the middle. It's like a business-like approach. State the change, and this is where I had to script, because I used to always fall into don't, starting with don't. And I trained myself for ages into I want you to. I want you to stop. I want you to, whatever it is. You could list like 100 things. But instead of don't. And be specific about what you're trying to achieve. And don't generalize and avoid starting the sentences with the word you. You are being. You are doing. You're not. You. Personalize. You. I'm frustrated, I'm upset by this. I want you to, instead of you, and personalising it and going into that confrontation early. Obviously, there might be a time for that later. And then repeat the broken record, repeat and strengthen the change calmly and firmly. I want you to, they've just come back with something, I want you to just go in again, calmly. I want you to do this, and this is why. I'm really sorry. I want you to do this. Broken record, repeat the change in a different way again and again and again. And avoid sarcasm. I'll tell you again then. And then obviously listen to the students, even though that's difficult. Let them finish and then go again. Broken records. Let them finish, go again. And then obviously, at that point, if you're still not getting anywhere, it's then that you confront them with the choice. If they're still refusing, then you present them with the choice. And then it's on to the sanctions if they're still refusing. And what I'm always trying to do, I mean, I've mentioned scripting will help, but what I'm always trying to do is move that as far down there as I can. But I will use them. And the students need to know I'm going to use them, and they're there. But I'm trying as much as I can to move that as far down there as I can. But I'm also being kind to myself and saying that, well, I'm starting with a class. I don't care what anyone else is thinking about me. I'm going. I don't care if I'm down here on this arrow initially. If I have to be, if I absolutely have to be, then okay, I might need to move that down to here. I will use whatever tools I have to use, and no one should be going, well, you know, first lesson, second lesson. No, it's like trust the teacher, isn't it? Give them 10 lessons, give them 20 lessons, let them do what they need to do to build that relationship with that class, because sometimes post-conflict can work. You have the conflict, you reset, you move on. If you don't have the conflict, it can carry on. You know, if sometimes, I'm not saying all the time, sometimes you deal with it with tools and tactics all the way. Some of these wonderful, lovely children that I'm currently teaching in Spain, I don't think I'd ever need to do that. It just depends, but you've got to trust the teacher, haven't you? And say, look, if they're there for a reason. So it doesn't make you a bad teacher to use a sanction. I finished.